Okay, people, February 22nd. I'm really not up for this. I feel just so beaten. Beaten down. When you're younger, you can bounce back. I'm 54 now. I know that's not very old, really. But I'm just worn out, people. So anyway, Andre and I, it's a little chilly, but it's only 11 o'clock in the morning, so it should warm up in the next couple of hours. The goal is clear that off, build our little box in here, and obviously put the lids on, right? With or without paint. I have to look for the paint. I have to get out the skill saw. I think I have an extra cord in the little cubby there, right? And I don't know, people. I'm just gonna do what I know how to do. I don't know what else to do. Like I just don't know what else to do. I'm trying to stay positive. It's kind of hard to stay positive. Maybe if my life experiences would have been different, all in all, it'd be different, but I'm just kind of worn out, right? And there's that post.
No. I found a red thing in here.
Yeah. It's not a white picket fence, people. Okay, so that's the goal. And then obviously, as I'm working, I try and space out my energy. I'm so sore. I'm not feeling very well. Seriously, I don't know what is wrong with me. But besides that point, we're going to put while we're here anyway, I'm putting the waterfall part there. So I'm going to probably, as I'm building on this part over here today, because I got to move some of that wood over there, right? I'm going to make a couple of wood boxes, like flower wood boxes, to put around the waterfall. And then as I'm doing that, start slivering off this hump, sifting it through something to scoop up on some of that gravel, and then take that dirt and put it in those flower boxes mixed in with some better dirt from somewhere else in the yard. And as I'm doing that, hopefully this will start leveling out and we can get some of these down into the ground. See, there's that base rock, people. That's probably what I bought for $4 a bag.
Yeah, Dad, I put it in there.
There's a bit more. Obviously got that off the street somewhere, right? That's sand mixed in with dirt and God knows what, so that has to be sifted out and the rocks picked out and
And wait a minute, come this way. Come this way.
What are you doing, Andre?
This way.
Maybe we'll try and get some of these flowers into the flower pot. Just get them in the pot, right? Get them out of those poor things.
No, talk about that.
Well, that's for the tow truck guy.
Yeah.
So hopefully what we can do is start digging around it a little bit here, a little bit there. Okay, people, I gotta get started on this stuff. Okay, people, I want to keep this brief. I'm gonna call this one Uncle John Loves You. Okay? I'm telling you, people, every day I think about John. Every day. For like a good part of the day. I talk to John. Like I said before, I talk to his ghost. You have to ask yourself, people. Today is February 23rd, 2016. John disappeared. Poof! February 20th, 2015. John's extended family took my birth date as their day to scoop him up and take him to Victoria. And then they concocted some kind of story when my daughter phoned asking for him. Oh, well, we only took him over for a visit. But he got real sick. We just wanted to bring him over for a couple of days. But the minute he got on the ferry, all of a sudden he got real sick where he ended up in emergency as soon as we crossed over on the water. And he's been in the hospital ever since. Until they finally moved him to his sister's house way out in the country. He has not tried to call. And you know how Uncle John calls? I want to call my mom. Can you dial the phone number for me? Sure, John. He talked to his mom. If he wanted to call Joan when Joan was living in Victoria, same thing. Only Joan was calling here 15 times a day. So he never had to call Joan. And then Joan ended up moving in. Okay, so if he hasn't called in over a year, what happened to him, people? What happens to a man when they just up and disappear? And we know, we kind of know where he is. Right? We know his banking is carrying on every month as if he's alive. Money is being spent. They're buying him clothes at the work warehouse, and then they're bringing them back. And they're getting their money back. So they're not even taking him out shopping. They're just going out shopping for him, bringing it back, finding out that it doesn't fit or whatever, and then they're taking it back. How do I know this? Because every now and then I can go get a printout on his account a year later. Don't ask me how that one works, people. But do you honestly think that Uncle John would want what's been going on for the last year to happen to this family? This is what I mean. Uncle John loves you. He loves you. The people out there that are struggling, not so much the ones with the money, because he knows what those kind are like, because he used to work with them in the Parliament building. He was the lowly janitor while everybody else was up here, you know, living the high life and being the high rollers, right? He's seen it with his own family. His brother works for the forest freaking department, National Forestry. I don't know if it's in the United States or if it's up in the freaking the Rockies in Alberta. I can't remember. All right. His sister is within the healthcare system. There's like several people that work for the government on John's side of the family that receive good money. Right? Sure, he may love them. But do you honestly think that he loves them, considering what they've done to him? How do you take 30 years of somebody's brain and chisel it out like a lobotomy, and then take it and put it in a freaking jar and put it on a shelf with alcohol, and then just forget about it? What happened to Uncle John for him to just up and disappear for over a year? Not a peep. The only thing that we hear about is this. That's all. Only because I complain about it. Because I know where it's coming from. Because it didn't start until they took John. Right? So, because Uncle John loves us, right? We have to keep that close to our heart, no matter what's going on. For the viewer or for myself and my family. Because he wanted good for the world. I'm trying to get to why I sat here to do this. Because after this, it's like 7:30 in the morning. I'm going to start outside early. I was outside yesterday with the skill saw. Right? I'm not going to make too many videos between now and March 10th because I just want to take care of the yard. I'm sticking true to myself. Right? Didn't put 6 years in to turn around and turn my back on it. Just like Uncle John didn't invest 30 years into this family to turn around and put his back to it. But his family made sure, his extended family. This is not his family. That's his extended family. That's his siblings. That's his sister. His sisters, his brother, his 100-year-old mother. And don't think that the mother is making the decisions here, because she's not. She's 100 years old. It's his sisters and his brothers are making the decisions for John as they go to the bank and spend his money. And don't allow him to phone his family. They're not allowing him to phone his family because he can't do it for himself, people. He's blind. And you already remember with that He's Not Your Grandpa video with the sister coming in after she found out that the kids were there. She drove all the way from Shawnigan Lake, beelined it to the Victoria General Hospital so she could go running in, throw herself around and say, get out, I'm calling security. He's not your grandpa. He's not your grandpa after all this fucking time. Even though last year when I seen you, I acknowledged that you were his grandchild because that's what he was calling you. But this year, it's different. I don't know why it's different. We just know that we don't like you no more and that you're not allowed to see Uncle John. And we're going to tell Uncle John that you can't see the kids, Uncle John. John, you can't see the kids, John, because you know that you're sick, John. So if you know that you're sick, you're not allowed to see the kids, and you know that. And these are the people that when you go to the hospital, people, are the ones that are helping you. Do you honestly think Uncle John would want that for you? Yeah, maybe if you're a scoundrel, he wouldn't care. But if you're a decent human being, why would he want you treated the way he was treated? He wouldn't. And that's the point of this video. Because he loved you. He loved you enough to stick through to the bitter fucking end. And that's in relation to this non-profit. He gave up a whole lot so that we all could have something better in the future versus than what we got right now. And what we got right now, I don't know, people, like I could say all kinds of really mean, nasty things. I could. Because it's pretty fucking blatant. I got the city riding my ass on a yard that doesn't even belong to me when they know I've been out there for 6 freaking years. They don't provide no services to their constituency in terms of an annual general cleanup, if you want to take it there. No, instead, what they do is they run around like freaking sergeants, right? As if you're in a fucking military camp with their trucks waiting to scoop up on other people's property without any paperwork. At the whim of, well, that shouldn't be there. Ooh, what do you need those buckets for? Well, I don't know. I need the buckets because you told me to clean up the fucking yard. Is it okay if I have some buckets to carry some stuff around? Is it my fault that my landlord doesn't give me any money to help pay people to work in this yard? Speaking of that, there's this one woman. I know she's poor. I don't know what her predicament is, but I just know that she's poor. I'm gonna see if I can, because she always complimented me on this yard. Even unlike the city, unlike the fucking city, there's people that walk up and down my street compliment me all the time. People, they walk up and down the street just to see what's going on in this yard. I have had people tell me that they like the way things are always changing. It's exciting for them to see a new plant there and something new there and something being built over there, you know. So I'm going to offer her $5 an hour, $20 a pop, to 4 hours to pick weeds. It's easy. It's time consuming. But it would be helpful. And, you know, maybe she needs $20 and some downtime to just sit there and pick weeds and think about life. You know, really think about life. Because the kind of life Uncle John's got isn't a life, people. It's not. Uncle John was a very loving man. He cared about people. That's the point of this video. He cared about people. He cared about the quality of life. He cared about people having actual opportunity and being successful with their endeavors in life. And not just some people. You know, not just the middle class that worked for the government and the rich bastards, right? He cared about all people. I'm getting ready to go outside. I'm going to start early. Right? I have to. I don't know what else to do, people. Right? Non-profit books aren't getting done. The lawsuit with Uncle John isn't getting done. Right? Nothing's getting done. The only thing that's getting done is the city can sell this property for another $200,000 more in terms of their taxes. Because they got a lot of rent gouging going on right now. The city of Surrey is working in partnership with these fucking realtors out here that are putting up 7, 8 houses down the block here, because I was talking to the dude the other night when I went to go borrow that tool for the bathtub. He said that's what that shit down there with all those signs down there was about. They had like 8 signs. Every house was $1.5 million. Houses like mine up on the market for $1.5 million as a block because they were hoping to attract some overseas freaking investor. That's what they were hoping for. Somebody from China or someplace like that where they just come in and buy the whole fucking block so that the Chinaman can move in and build his condo to sell to his buddies in freaking China. Well, the rest of us little people are running around like chickens without our heads on, as we're being accused of this and accused of that, but never charged with anything. As our property is being taken. Do you honestly think Uncle John would want that for you? Why do you think there is a nonprofit today, but why do you also think that the nonprofit doesn't go anywhere? It's because the people in charge don't want to stop the bullshit that they do upon the community that they serve. This is not being a public servant, people, what they do to families these days. You just don't go to the hospital. He went into the hospital, people. And they took advantage of him. He hadn't even been in the hospital for the first week, people. And the fucking social worker said, come to me and talk to me in my office. We need to figure out what's going to go on with John. So I showed up there and she said, is it okay if I have my new little co-worker here? She's just coming into the game to see how this conversation goes. And I'm like, okay, whatever, right? So I got 2 against 1, people. Right from the fucking beginning. And we hadn't even been in the meeting for 5 minutes before that social worker wanted to know who had power of attorney over John's account. She didn't ask me how I was feeling. She didn't ask me how the kids were feeling. She didn't ask me how my grandson was feeling. None of that. She just wanted to know who had control of the money. And I said, well, I do. Okay, what's the point? Oh, well, we got to figure out what the end-of-life plan is, and, he's going to go into convalescent care, and you need to pay for it. And I'm like, whoa, hold on. He's not even better yet. Let me talk to John first. And doing her little fucking sign language with her little co-worker over there. I basically told them, if you want to put Uncle John in a convalescent ward and you're determined to do that, then you bill us. You will bill us. You send us the bill. And we'll pay it in our time. If you're going to go behind my back. Before I talk to Uncle John. And make sure it's okay for him that that's where he wants to go. But we know that's not where he wanted to go. And if they would have gave him better care, people, he wouldn't even ended up in that fucking temporary care ward. Anyway, Uncle John wouldn't want the shit that goes on in our society to happen. That's why he helped me with the nonprofit. Because he knew what we were up against. Because he's seen it, like I said, he worked in the Parliament buildings. He's seen it with his own family. Okay? He wasn't stupid. They made him stupid. And it's pretty fucking stupid that a man just ups and disappears. And not even within 1 year, try and reach the people that he loves the most. Right? Not a peep. So he must be like incapacitated now. Like he must be loopity-loop, loopity-loop, because they caused so much brain damage on him by destroying his family, and he knew it, and he was helpless to do anything about it, because they gave him just enough medication to keep him lethargic and incapable of getting up and walking away. And they twisted words, and they gaslighted him, right? Did all kinds of other psychological warfare tactics on him to make him feel bad for wanting to come home. Because they like doing what they do, because if they did it to Uncle John, you can guarantee that they're doing it to other people. And they don't want to they don't want it to stop. They don't want the power and the access to the resources that they have to stop. And Uncle John didn't want that. He didn't want people to be exploited to the extreme that people are being exploited to now. 9 houses down the block, $1.5 million, when each house should be no more than $320,000 each. Not for the local fucking buyers, not for the people that live in Canada, but for those fucking assholes that come in from freaking different countries, buy up the whole block. Up in the West Point Gray area, you got freaking $2 million homes sitting completely empty for years. Same thing in the West End. Downtown Vancouver, condos completely empty. They're freaking ghost apartments. Because the people can, with money, come in and buy and do whatever they do and leave the rest of them out in the streets. Do you honestly think Uncle John would want that for you? But the people that have him do, because they're not allowing him to be a part of something that he helped to create in terms of guiding me and giving me mentorship and encouraging me to step outside of the box and not be afraid to approach local MLAs, which is your member of legislative assemblies, right? Not be afraid to put proposals in front of a fucking corrupt fucking city hall, even though you know you're going to get denied anyway. But you do it anyway. For them to come back years later and run you into the ground so that they can make another $500,000 off this piece of property in terms of taxes after it's been sold? Not caring where I go like Mr. Lace, as long as you get rid of them? You know, get rid of the homeless, who cares where they go? Get rid of the fucking chicken, who cares where it goes? Get rid of the freaking stray cats around out here. Who cares where they go? Get rid of the poor families that are a burden on society. Who cares where they go? Make money off of the little ones like Andre. But as soon as they hit a certain age, to hell with them. Who cares where they go? Do you honestly think Uncle John would want that? No. And that's why he's not here, people. Because they don't want you to hear that that's not what he wants. They want to keep him silent, dumb, and tucked away, and forgotten about, and make me look like I'm a fucking lunatic. Trying to break me under the pressure. Well, what is it today? February 24th? 2016, I'm going to go outside probably 9:30 in the fucking morning when it's fucking cold out there. And I'm going to start building. I got the skill saw out now, so I'm just going to keep building. As I'm weeding, as I'm cleaning. Waiting for a bunch of fucking liars to come into my yard. Waiting for a bunch of fucking liars to come into my yard. While I live here, because I don't own it. I just live here, and I'm taking responsibility for my yard. I'm trying to give my grandson something to remember that's positive. And these fucking liars just keep coming around with their bullshit. Well, they keep Uncle John hidden away. Because they figure if they keep him hidden away, you won't see the truth. You'll believe their lies. That's what it is. You'll believe their lies and you won't see his truth. I don't know how long I'm going to live for, people, under these conditions. Honest to God. I can't imagine living like this for another 30 fucking years. I just can't. That would be amazing if I could live another 30 years under these kind of conditions where I'm constantly being attacked in one way or another. From a bunch of fucking liars that sit up there and say, I'm your public servant. Let me help you. Who are they going to take next? Who's next on their list of ping, 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 ping? Do you honestly think Uncle John wanted to be pinged off? He must be in pretty dire straits, people, if it's been a whole fucking year and he hasn't even tried to, well, no, he has tried to call. They just don't allow him to call. So do you honestly think that he's real happy now in La La Land? Do you honestly think that he has your best interest at heart right now in La La Land? Why was he in my life for 30 years? Why did he hold ShaMay the minute she was born? Uncle John was the first person to hold ShaMay when ShaMay was born. You have to remember, this man had no children of his own. He had to adopt one. So that was a pretty amazing moment for him. Do you know, and that week, I got out of the hospital. They kept me for an extra day because I was bleeding really bad, because ShaMay was my 4th child. It was a very good birth though, right? Uncle John and I cracking jokes the whole time that my water broke. I was sewing costumes, and I went up the freaking stairs at the bird, and that's what put me into labor. These are the memories Uncle John likes. These are the ones that make him feel good inside. The memories that these people took and put in a fucking preservative jar of alcohol. Anyway, the pain started. And then it was Friday night or something. And then all of a sudden at midnight it went and my water broke. Well, no, my water hadn't broke, but something went like that in between my legs. My pelvic went like this. And I said, John, I think this is it. So we loaded up the car, because they were starting to come, right? We loaded up the car with the kids, John and I. And I had, as a matter of fact, my water did break. Because I had a towel between my legs, people. And I had to load up my 3 other children in the car. And I drove with the towel between my legs 2.5 blocks away or whatever the hell it was. Because this was like 1 o'clock in the morning by this time, right? 12:30 in the morning. And I drove to the babysitter, dropped off the kids. John and I drove back. We're cracking jokes in the car. We called up a taxi. It was a Punjabi man that came with his turban and everything, right? And we're cracking jokes, you know. He's telling me not to have the baby in the car as he's driving to the hospital. We get to the hospital. You know, I'm in the wheelchair. John's walking everybody, the nurse or whatever. We're cracking jokes, just cracking jokes, cracking jokes. Get up into the freaking birthing room, still cracking jokes. It's John, me, and the nurse. John, the nurse, and I, cracking jokes, cracking jokes, cracking jokes, just cracking jokes through the whole thing, people. It was one of the best moments of my whole life. Almost time for the baby. This is all in the space of 2 hours. Almost time for the baby to come. And the nurse is like this. She almost ready to catch the baby. Right? Catch the baby. And we're like, every cracking jokes, right? We don't want the doctor to come. We just want the nurse to deliver the baby. This is we just wanted the nurse to deliver the baby because she was such a beautiful woman. The whole thing was just a breeze. And what? The bugger come in at the last second and caught ShaMay. And as soon as they got ShaMay, did whatever, they gave ShaMay straight to John. And then John held the baby. He was the most happiest man in his whole life. Okay, they kept me for an extra day because I was bleeding heavy because it was my 4th baby. So I got home like 3 days later. Because normally you give birth, you get to go home the next day. Within 2 days, right? On the 2nd day. But I had to stay an extra day for ShaMay. So I get home, and within that week, people, I started sewing again. Because I was already working on orders before I even gave birth. So I got right back up on the bandwagon. And do you know what Uncle John used to do? He used to sit in the basement with me after the kids were in bed. He would just hold ShaMay. As a newborn. 1 week old, 2 weeks old, 3 weeks old, 4 weeks old, 5 weeks old, 6 weeks old, 7 weeks, so on and so on and so on. And just hold her. As I sewed. And then as soon as my bag was full or I did whatever I was supposed to do, I'd go back off to the stripper club, take my baby with me, and sell my costumes. But the point of that one is Uncle John held ShaMay in the wee hours of those mornings when I'd be downstairs at 2, 3, whenever, 10 o'clock at night, whatever hours they were. It didn't matter. He was down there holding ShaMay. He had a nice rocking chair. Those are the memories that they don't want him to have. So when I say Uncle John loves you, he does. He does, because this person that they got right now, I don't know, that's not Uncle John. A man wouldn't do that, okay, for months. Just to never call. And to abandon you. Completely abandon you. Okay, I don't know what kind of people we're dealing with here. All I know is that they're not right in the head. And these are the people that serve us in these professional settings. And they throw around, well, I'm the professional. I'm the professional. Well, I don't know what kind of profession this is called. Where people just cut out part of a brain of somebody else, put it in a fucking jar with some alcohol, put it up on a shelf, and then go back with their friends to attack the family of the person that they destroyed to protect themselves. They're not protecting John. We haven't heard from John in over a year. These people that continue to come into my yard and attack me for whatever freaking reason, they're doing it to protect themselves. Because those temporary care wards are being run by mercenaries. It's got to take either a very dumb person to go along with the game plan in terms of, well, you know, we're just going to kidnap him, but we're not going to call it that, and we're just going to make it so that he can never see you again because we think you're guilty, and therefore, because we think you're guilty, we're going to make sure that, you know, you're going to get charged with it, but only in a fucking kangaroo court that never goes to a real court setting, just so that we can get away with what we've done. Do you honestly think Uncle John would want that for you as a viewer? if you weren't a part of that game plan. No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. So I gotta leave it at that. My little grandson's up now. And I gotta go outside, right, to appease the city of Surrey, basically. Well, I'm quite possibly waiting for the sheriff at some point in the near future to come in and start packing up my stuff. All of it. Just throw it in a fucking box, mix it all up, so that videos like this do not get out to you.